How's it going, guys? What you'll be seeing today is some 27-1 attack boat footage. I thoroughly enjoy a lot of these longer attack boat rounds just for the utter destruction that comes with them. Hopefully you do too, because I'm going to post the video anyway. But what I wanted to do is talk about, basically, of course, Dragon's Teeth DLC. It comes out next Tuesday, which would be July 15th for premium members. And I imagine it would be at least a week or two after that for any non-premium members. But I have been looking forward to this DLC. And I will be talking about basically what it has to offer. And of course, most of you probably already know, but I'm going to break it down anyway, and hopefully you still enjoy the commentary and the footage doing so, because that's what us YouTubers do. But I will talk about, of course, what it breaks down. Recently, I should probably say of note that I hurt my wrist this weekend pretty good. It's probably going to take 2-3 weeks to recover. The bad news being that the DLC comes out next week, and it still hurts quite a bit to even try and pick up a mouse. So I'm not sure exactly if I'm going to be able to post the Dragon's Teeth footage right off the bat, but we'll see how that goes. Ideally, if it heals up pretty quick, then I'll post a lot of the Dragon's Teeth footage. And of course, I've reviewed the weapons already. You guys know what the weapons are going to be, but I will break down basically everything that will be coming with this DLC. So here we go. First things first, of course, you guys, like I said, you already know the weapons. We're going to be having the 5 new weapons. Which will be the MPX for the engineers. It'll be the Bulldog assault rifle, the CS5 sniper rifle, and the 2 handguns, the Unica 6, and of course everyone's favorite, the Juan Deagle. But those are the weapons. Of course, we'll have the ballistic shield, and we'll feature a new game mode called Chain Link. And basically, from what I've seen of it, and I might, remind me if I forget, I'll post a video that basically came out the other day that breaks it down. It basically is a smaller version of the maps, which break down into, like, it's a smaller, linear style of conquest, which is which has pros and cons, which of course I'll address in a minute. But basically, with those, you have to, well, I guess the ideal situation here is that you have to gather as many of the flags as possible, and if you get connecting flags, you establish links between them, and that's the goal. You have to establish, as the title suggests, you have to get chain links to either establish a ticket count or bleed the enemy team's ticket count with the majority of the links established. That being said, there are opportunities for flankers to go around, and if they take, say you're taking the first flag of A and B and you establish the link, then you get one between B and C. If the enemy team can flank and go around and take B, then they basically unhook the 2 links you've established, which presents a bit of a problem to me early on. Of course, later on I'll address all of these in the future. I'll break down the separate mode of how everything works. But if it is a smaller linear style of maps, then that's already got a good attention going for it, and it sort of gives a point for the ballistic shield, logistically speaking. You're with me so far. The problem, of course, if we're flanking, is that if you're able to uncouple those links so quickly, then it's not any different than Conquest mode as we already have it. If it was, say, for example, a type of mode where you could just continually push an area, and you'd had to push an area as a team. Like, say, there was an old game type a while back called Frontlines, where you basically were stuck. You weren't able to really flank as much, but you were able to, with teamwork, with good accuracy, and using the ballistic shields, I suppose, you'd be able to, you could only basically push one flag at a time until, it was basically a tug of war. You could basically push one flag at a time. And originally, when I read that this new game type was going to be similar to that, I was actually kind of excited, because I figure it's new. It's something to try. It might tire out, it might get boring, it might be terrible early on or later on as you try it out more, and that's fine, but at least it's something new. It's a breath of fresh air. But if you're able to flank and decouple the links between the chains, so to speak, so easily, especially if one guy's able to do it, that's more like Conquest again. They didn't really do anything different. But of course, early judgment, we'll see how it goes. Let's move on. We'll get 4 new maps with it. The first one is called Lumphini Garden, and the description of it basically says, cruise with fast-moving PWCs on the canals in the pristine park to get the upper hand. So it looks like there aren't a lot of different levels and elevations you have to worry about in terms of fighting, but it basically looks like it's an open park with all sorts of different statues for cover, which will be a nice infantry-style map. The next one's called Pearl Market. It basically, the description says, wage wars within the bustling alleyways and upon the rooftops of the marketplace. So this one looks like it's going to be those multi-level style of fights that'll have the rooftop campers, the people on the ground, and everyone fighting in between to either get to the rooftop campers or get to the people on the ground. And hopefully, I think I'm hoping at least that if it's domination or conquest based, that flags will be distributed among the different levels, which will make a hell of a lot more of an entertaining firefight. Because if they're all on the ground or all on the rooftop, then you'll have rooftop campers or people on the ground not willing to move up. But if you distributed them evenly among the different floors, then that would make for a hell of a different style of play. The third up map is called Propaganda, and it says fight among massive monuments in the gray concrete battlefield, which again might be a mix between the previously aforementioned maps where you have different levels and you have different elements to it, or maybe it's just a ground level with the monuments. Again, we'll see. And the last one is called Sunken Dragon, and the description says battle between modern high-rises as you wreak havoc in a floating restaurant, or you drain the lake, opening up a frontal vehicle assault. So again, this one will probably be the one where it actually, because it already alluded to it, it'll have some elements of vehicles. Maybe not larger vehicles, maybe not LAVs and tanks, but maybe some the rib boats, jeeps, etc. We'll see, because it seems as if this one's going to be smaller infantry focused, which is nice because it's what I actually truly wanted for a bit now. But those are the maps. Of course, the new game mode, like I said, I'll break it down. Those are the new weapons, as I've already mentioned. It says there'll be 14 new assignments in total, many of which, as I've already mentioned, will be unlocking weapons with them. So it's not like you're going to be fighting to do the assignments without a reward. There's all sorts of different dog tags. There's a new assignment for Battlefield 4's the Phantom program, if you're well aware of the sort of secret assignments that Battlefield's had with every DLC. There's another one that'll be coming out with this DLC shortly. It's actually called Phantom Initiate. And of course, there'll be more. Well, okay, first thing I'll do here with the dog tags as well is I'll list some of the assignments. If you don't want to hear them, that's fine, but I'll list them anyway. One is Link Repeater, and it's 2 rounds of chain links you have to win. And then there's one just 5 minutes using the ballistic shield. There's play around on all the Dragon's Teeth maps. There's get a kill with the Roar, which I just call it the High Robot. And of course, I probably should mention that with this new DLC, new ranks up to 130 will be unlocked. So if you're already a Colonel 120 with all those massive XP boosts, don't worry, you're going to have a chance to go all the way up to 130 with this new DLC. So all that XP won't feel like it's going to waste. And of course, you'll be getting art with it. That being said, for the most part, that's basically what will be coming out with this DLC. Ideally, we'll see, I'm hoping anyway, to see basically infantry-style combat. I'm hoping it's not a lot along the lines of basically similar DLCs where it's like a mix between vehicles and infantry. I'm hoping this is more infantry-centric, sort of following the lines of Close Quarters back from the Battlefield 3 DLC when it came out. But that's basically it for that. There was new patch notes, because there was a patch that came out, I believe it was yesterday, and I can list the PC version with some little sprinkles in from the console version, because for the most part, looking at the patch notes for all of them, the fixes were generally, for the most part, the same. They haven't, because as CTE News has put out recently, they did put out the triage system for the medics, so that you can actually see who would be, getting, or who you should probably actually revive first. They addressed more of the netcode issues. They addressed all sorts of different, more adjustments in the options screen, sensitivities. The HUD, you could fix like the HUD clutter that's been rampant on Battlefield 4, but that did not make this patch. That'll be coming out in the later patches. But in this patch, the July 8th patch notes update, what I can list basically between the two is, of course, they just listed as generic bugs. They fixed all sorts of different things. The ones of note I should probably state is that they fixed a crash that could occur when a player left a round, and I guess that is one of the ones that they're going to be fixing primarily, that for the people that still crashes. But the one I like the most, of course, is here, the added 15-second warm-up timer for official servers. And again, this might not impact other servers, but I imagine most server owners on PC will probably follow suit with this, figuring it makes a lot of sense unless they really want their SSDs to continue to give them that gigantic advantage. But again, we'll see how that works. When you look at, they fixed a lot of graphical issues. For example, it says it fixed an issue where a player would get the water splash effect on screen after crashing one of their remote controlled, say, EOD or MAVs into the water, which is pretty funny to me. And they added a new competitive obliteration mode, which is basically 5-on-5, sort of like Counter-Strike. It's 5-on-5 obliteration in a sort of reduced map, so it's not gigantic. You probably won't have to worry that much about that many vehicles, but they did reduce it to 5-on-5 smaller maps, one bomb, fight for the 2 MCOMs. It's sort of competitive Counter-Strike style, just with a more buggier game. And of course, they fixed up some of the user interfaces. I believe on a couple of notes they said that they've dropped Capture the Flag game mode to, I think it's 32 player max instead of 64, and everyone basically doesn't care about the flag. They just fight for each other the whole time. And that's basically it in terms... Well, two things of note. For the original consoles, most specifically Xbox 360, they finally fixed the Dawnbreaker crash, because you know when you tried to get into that map it would immediately crash. Apparently that's been fixed, so that's something of note to previous console generations. But one thing of note here is that one thing I want to state here is they say with regard to weapon change, basically they didn't really balance a lot. They basically changed graphic animations, like for example with the RPG-7, the rocket remaining visible after the last shot's been fired while zooming in. They fixed that. And it says, one thing of note I wanted to state here, like I said, is that foregrip in third person now has hand in the correct position when using M416 and M417. And what's interesting, of course, is that there is no M417 in the game. So does that allude to Final Stand DLC in the future adding this weapon in? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. Do you think it does? Do you care? Do you not give a shit? Do you care? I don't know. But we'll see. That's basically anything of note. They fixed a lot of the cosmetic bugs, graphical bugs, etc., but not a lot of big patches. The biggest patch came out recently with that netcode update that came out, I think it was about a month ago. And other than that, I guess the bigger patches that'll be fixing HUD updates, AC-130 balances, etc., that's been working on in CTE will be coming out in the near future. So again, we'll see how those go. But that's basically it. That's a rundown of what this DLC will bring. And basically that was an update of the patch that recently came out. So if you have any questions, any concerns, comments, etc., leave them in the video below. And of course, you guys know I like to answer comments for the most part. So if you have anything, just let me know and I'll address them. That was some attack chopping, or that was some attack boat footage, slaughtering the masses and enjoying every bit of it. See you guys later.
I've spotted a hostile machine gunner just due east of your location.